Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Sinephro Endlessness. I'll admit to some real surprise seeing this sophomore album show up on my Patreon schedule, although the more I dug up about Nala Sinephro, the less I was surprised. She's a Belgian electronic jazz composer who saw a very acclaimed breakout in 2021 with Space 1.8, where her free-flowing, playful, but intimate tones would dance into ambient music for an album that might not really wow me, but was more intriguing in the finer melodic flourishes than I expected. So when I found out that she recruited the drummer of Black Midi for her song on this new album after that band broke up, then work alongside a drummer from Sons of Kemet, suddenly I understood exactly why this showed up on my radar and in my Bandcamp recommendations. And like with all jazz and jazz-adjacent reviews from me, I'm introducing the caveat that I can recognize when I'm a little bit out of my depth, and that I wish I had a deeper historical knowledge of the genre to fully draw upon for comparison and critique. But that being said, I think I like this a little bit more than Space 1.8, with stronger, more defined highlights. It's still immensely pleasant in the melodic interplay between the synths and strings and horns and soft live percussion. Sinephro's harp in particular gets some real nice attention on the firmer rhythms of Continuum 2 and the more elegant Continuum 3, and much of the piano work is outright gorgeous, often becoming the supple foundation for Continuum 4 or the outro of Continuum 10 after that song's jazzy skip as the drums ricochet off the fizzy keyboards. But what's more interesting with Endlessness is how it plays with melodic structure, often centering a central arpeggio, then modulating the counter melody or groove alongside it. Not to the point of creating chaos or a ton of friction to break the vibe, but a feel of how something can modulate within structures. And then sometimes that groove might stabilize, and then the arpeggio begins to shift or modulate inside it from another instrument, really showcasing a lot of chemistry between all the musicians involved. I know there were some points of improvisation within the compositions here, but it's rare to hear so much synergy without a breakdown. Now, thematically, the album's meant to feel cyclical, collapse and rebirth, and how those nestled, yearning pockets fit within those life cycles. Reportedly drawing upon a tradition of spiritual jazz rooted in the late 60s and early 70s, it still feels modern in these mantras on the burbling but organized synths and grooves. Although I do think the deeper foundation can feel a bit underpowered in the drum kits or with some of the synth-based choices. And that leads arguably to my biggest issue with this album. While I appreciate some of the quasi-psychedelic textures that creep onto Continuum 1, or the ghostly atmospherics behind Continuum 8, sometimes the analog synth choices can feel almost like chiptune in the buzzy, liquid bleeping. Again, it's pleasant, but occasionally lacking some of that organic foundation to really stick for me, like the stuttering but oddly springy descending melody on Continuum 7 that even in shifting to the more haunted backdrop just did not work. Or with Continuum 9, I was more drawn to the saxophone, but the chirpy, textured synths kind of insisted on your attention. It's got the feel of the balance not fully being there between the organic and the synthetic elements, especially on the back half contrasting between the synth and the sax, which left me feeling that for as much as I appreciate the melodic interplay, the album's progression as a whole doesn't really build. The loose restraint and control of tempo can also lead this to slip into the background rather than showing some strong virtuoso moments or a really potent crescendo where both the meditative vibe is blessing and curse compared to something as melodically intricate but a little bit more explosive, think someone like Anna Meredith. But overall, I enjoyed this and generally found it melodically compelling, if rarely transcendent. If you got a more studied ear for this sort of electronic jazz or jazz in general, you'll probably like it more, but I think it's worth hearing regardless. It's patiently thoughtful, yet a playful album. I think it's worth your time. Give it a shot. Check it out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, subscribe. I have no idea if this is going to get any traction at all, but this did show up on my schedule, and jazz is always something I want to dabble a little bit more into, so yeah, this was interesting. I appreciated that. Beyond that though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if y'all want to help support the channel beyond buying my merch, well, I would say go to my Patreon if you want to get albums onto my schedule or into my Discord. But again, I got something special coming up in the next couple of weeks. You might be more invested if you're on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.